Yverdon, Switzerland, 1814. 10-year-old Rivail gripped the wooden handle of his suitcase, his knuckles white as the carriage wheels finally ground to a halt. He had traveled for days from Lyon, crossing the border into a world that felt wider and colder than any map in his books. The air was crisp, biting through his coat as he stepped onto the ancient cobblestones. Before him stood the stone gates of the Institute, a threshold between the life he knew and the mystery that awaited within. In the courtyard stood Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi. His coat was weathered, stained with the chalk dust of 1,000 lessons. There was no demand for a formal bow or a rigid greeting. Instead, the master simply pointed toward a group of children. They were kneeling in the dirt, tracing complex geometric shapes with simple wooden sticks. Rivail hesitated, his breath catching in the mountain air, before he slowly knelt beside them. He felt the grit of the earth, realizing that here, the ground itself was a canvas for the mind. Inside the classroom, the silence was not of fear, but of deep focus. There were no rows of rigid desks, no chanting of lines from memory. Pestalozzi moved like a shadow between his students, his hands constantly sketching diagrams upon the floor. He paused before a young boy struggling with a difficult calculation.
He did not provide the answer. Instead, he leaned down and whispered a question that forced the boy to look upward.
Searching the very ceiling for a spark of logic, Rivail watched from the shadows of the back row, holding his breath. When the boy finally spoke, his eyes widened with a sudden, brilliant realization. It was a revelation. This was not the rigid power Rivail had known in France. Here, knowledge was a service. A living flame passed like a lantern from hand to hand. He watched the master use clay, maps, and his own body to explain the rhythm of the natural world, turning every lesson into a sacred conversation with the human soul. As the sun dipped behind the jagged peaks of the Swiss Alps, Pestalozzi sat beside the young Rivail.
He placed a heavy, warm hand on the boy's shoulder. "Education," he whispered, "is merely the act of waking what already sleeps inside every human." Rivail looked down at his own hands,
then out at the vast, quiet landscape. He understood then that he had not come to Switzerland to learn how to read books. He had come to learn how to awaken the eternal truth buried deep within himself.